Good evening. You're joining the State of Business on our television with me, Nishani Figuera. As usual, a look at the headlines first. Opposition leader says government's failure to make bold decisions has created the present chaotic situation. And WHO says the call on the use of dengue vaccine should be made by the government. The government's move to make fuel distribution an essential service was debated in Parliament today. Here are some of the comments made by the members.
I'm not saying that the strike action is always irrelevant. There may be times when that is necessary, not only for doctors, but even for others. There may be times that it is necessary. We must safeguard that right of the workers. But the tragedy today in this country is that the workers themselves are putting that right at risk. They will no longer have that right if they abuse that right, if they behave in a fashion that is most irresponsible. There are many actions that are taken as trade union action, and striking or lockout is what the employer can do, but strike is the ultimate weapon. It's not the first thing that you do.
සමහර වෘත්තීය සමිති ඉතාමත් හොඳින් අපිත් එක්ක සාකච්ඡා කරා. අපිට ඊයේ 12 වෙනකොට මේ වැඩ වර්ජන ඉවර කරන්න පුළුවන් වෙන්න තිබුණා. නමුත් අවසනාවකට වගේ යම් යම් දේශපාලන අතගැසීම් නිසා මේක තවත් ඉදිරියට ගියා කියන එක මම කියන්න ඕනේ. මේ වෙලාවේ සමහර ජනබල නැති දේශපාලඥයෝ මට ඇඟිල්ල දික් කරනවා මං ඇමතිකම් කරන්න ඕනේ කොහොමද කියලා. මේ ඇමතිකම් සූදුවක් හැටියට කරන්න බෑ. අසරේස් හැටියට කරන්න බෑ.
ඊය සමිතිය සමග සාකච්ඡා මාර්ගයකට පැමිණ ප්‍රජාතන්ත්‍රවාදීව කටයුතු කරන්න පුළුවන්කම තිබෙද්දී ඒ සාකච්ඡාවේ සෑමදේම සාර්ථක නොවුණත් වෘත්තීය සමිතියත් එකඟ වුණ අත්‍යවශ්‍ය සේවාවලට ඉන්ධන සපයීමට කටයුතු කරන්න වැඩ වර්ජනය යද්දී එතකොට මොකටද මේ මහජන ආරක්ෂක පනත ප්‍රකාශයට පත් කළේ? එකම කාරණාව මහජන ආරක්ෂක පනත එක පැත්තකින් හමුදාව යොදවා ගැනීමට, දෙක වෘත්තීය සමිති ක්‍රියාමාර්ග කුඩුපට්ටම් කිරීම. ඒකබඳ විපක්ෂය ඉත ඕනෑකමින් කියන මේ මහජන ආරක්ෂක පනත පැනවීම ඉල්ලාස් කරගන්න කියලා. එක පැත්තකින් දුමින්ද දිසානායක හරහා වෘත්තීය සමිති නායකයෝ දැහැගන්න සාකච්ඡා මගින් ඔබතුමන්ලා උත්සාහ කරා. අනිත් පැත්තෙන් නරව දාලා ගහලා මේක බලපෑම් කරලා වෘත්තීය සමිති සටන යටපත් කරන්න හැදුවා. මේක බොනපාත්පන්නේ ක්‍රමවේදයක්. නමුත් ඔබතුමන්ලා මොකක්ද අවසානයේ කරගත්තේ? අවසානයේ කරගත්තේ ආණ්ඩුවක් විදිහට ඔබතුමන්ලා රට ඉස්සරහා රෙදි ගලව ගත්තා, නිර්වත් වුණා, යහපාලනයේ නිර්වත මුළු රටම දැක්කා. නාගත්තා, ඇදගෙන නාගත්තා, ඉල්ලන් කෑවා.
You must have the spine to govern. You must make decisions that are necessary. The country, the economy is in a very serious state. The country is debt deep in debt. The country must be redeemed from this position. If this country is to be redeemed from this position, government must take bold steps. Government must take bold decisions. And government must be in a position to implement those decisions. I think it is your failure to make bold decisions and your failure to implement bold decisions that encourages your opposition to become difficult. You should demonstrate that you are governing efficiently and effectively. That is your duty. And if you do that, I think you will be in a much better position to silence the joint opposition and make sure that we are able to carry on.
UPFA MP C.B. Ratnayaka says that the joint opposition will move a no-confidence motion against the Prime Minister and the Minister whose name was transpired as a recent hearing of the Bond Commission. Addressing the media, he said the entire government should be held responsible for the bond issue.
බැඳුම්කර සිද්ධියත් එක්ක චෝදනාවක් ලබනවා නම් හිට ඉන්න ඇමතිවරයෙකුට ඒ ඇමතිවරයා සාක්ෂි දෙනවා නම් නීතිපතිතුමනි ඔබතුමාගේ වාර්තාව ලබා දෙන්න කියලා අපි පාර්ලිමේන්තුවෙන් අපි ඉල්ලීමක් කරලා තියෙනවා. ඒ වාර්තාව ලබා දෙන්න. එතකොට තමයි ලිච්ඡවි පාලනය, එතකොට තමයි සාධාරණත්වය, එතකොට තමයි යුක්තිය ක්‍රියාත්මක කරන්න පුළුවන්. රවි කරුණායක ඇමතුමා පමණක් නෙවෙයි සමස්ත අග්‍රාමාත්‍යවරයා ඇතුළු මේ ආණ්ඩුවම වග කියන්න ඕන මේක. රනිල් වික්‍රමසිංහ අග්‍රාමාත්‍යවරයා සමග දෙන්නටම අපි විශ්වාස භංගය කියන තමයි අපි බලාපොරොත්තු.
World Health Organization says the introduction of the dengue vaccine to Sri Lanka is a decision that would be solely made by the local authorities. Addressing a workshop on dengue prevention held in Colombo today, the World Health Organization's country representative said the vaccine is not pre-qualified by WHO as a public health measure.
There's a lot of discussion on vaccine and papers covering that why vaccine has not been introduced. So this Dengvaxia is the vaccine which has been licensed by NRAs and national regulatory authorities in many countries. This has not yet been pre-qualified by WHO for public health use. It's given in 3 doses, 0, 6 and 12. And for WHO, the recommendations for this vaccine are countries could consider introduction of this vaccine in geographic settings with a very, very high prevalence of dengue. So it says 70%. That means 7 out of 10 people who have had a dengue virus infection. If that high seroprevalence is there, this vaccine can be introduced. It is not recommended when the seroprevalence is less than 50%. So at least half of the target population should have been exposed to the dengue virus for this vaccine to be considered for introduction as a public health measure.
The State of Business will return with more news after this short break. Do stay with us. Welcome back. You're watching The State of Business. Newly appointed chairman of the Private-Public Partnership Unit of the Finance Ministry, Thilan Wijayasinghe, says investment bankers, economic researchers, top negotiators will be appointed to the newly created unit. Addressing the Sri Lanka Economic Summit organised by the Ceylon Chamber of Commerce, Wijayasinghe said the new unit will handle the upcoming PPPs of the country.
The elevated highway from the New Kalini Bridge to Aturugiriya, Asian Development Bank is a transaction advisor. There's an underground tunnel plan to extend the Marine Drive, thankfully not impacting on Golf-Face. It will go underground and connect with the Port City access and the elevated highway to the airport. That's been structured as a PPP. Sri Lanka has what it takes to do PPPs, complex PPPs. We have only five, but they are significant. There are 5 what I call PPPs that are over $200 million in investment that are already operating. Number 1 would be SAGT, then we have CICT. I believe the Tata construction project is also a PPP because that involves slum resettlement. We have Port City and the biggest, the mother of them all, the Hambantota. $1.1 billion, which will get signed up shortly.
Wijayasinghe also noted to make the work of the PPP unit to be more efficient and productive. The approval and implementing processes need to be faster than which is existing now. He said that the Finance Ministry would adopt a draft prepared by the US with certain revisions to streamline its work.
The government has allocated 100 million rupees to get this thing going. The World Bank is coming with an $800 million grant funding for a resident advisor and a resident company to advise on various aspects. A $25 million IBRD long-term loan to strengthen the framework, to also fund some pilot PPP projects and to procure technical assistance. So the ingredients are largely in place. So what I hope to do to succeed, hopefully, is to provide this value-added facilitation service to the line ministry, to strategize, to structure, to negotiate, and the most important aspect, to close these transactions. Because without the ability to close transactions, I always used to say this as a former investment banker, the art of investment banking is in the art of closing a particular transaction.
After this break, it's a Stock Watch. Stay with us for that. Welcome back to the show. Trading at the Colombo Stock Exchange ended in a mixed note today. The all share price index dropped 0.19 points to close at 6,668.86, while the S&P SL20 index gained by 0.28 points to close the session at 3,830.84. Turnover was 780.9 million rupees and 100.5 million shares were traded. Up next is a look at the forex rates. And with that, we sign off from the newsroom for tonight. Do join us again tomorrow at the same time. Until then, thank you for watching. Good night.